What's up, folks? My name is Sammy, and welcome back to Sammy's Gaming Retreat. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about my Sega Genesis collection, and I'm going to talk about some of my experiences playing the console growing up and collecting for it. I'm also going to show you two Master System games, because they're the only two I own, so why not? Now, I don't have a huge Sega Genesis collection at 23 games, but I do prefer to collect them with the box. There are some exceptions to that, though, which we will get to. As far as my collection goes, it's not that big, but it's small and mighty. That's what she said.
Don't finish that joke or the Genesis really gets it.
Oh. I'll go through the games in alphabetical order, but first we're going to start with the system and accessories. This is my Sega Genesis. It's the only one I own. It's the Model 2. This is one of the first things I got when I started collecting games again, and I originally got this model because I love the look of it with the CD and 32X add-ons. I don't own either of those pieces yet, but when I do, I'm going to put it all together and it's going to look sick. My understanding is that Model 1 Genesis with the high definition graphics text is the one to get because it does have a superior sound card. And it has a headphone out jack. I mean, come on. Sitting 3 feet away from your TV with headphones on playing Sega Genesis? It's the dream. For controllers, I've got the 3-button Big Bertha OG, I've got the slim 6-button variant, and lastly, we've got the mandatory Player 1 controller, the red 6-button gamepad from Retrobit. I got this brand new in a retro game store. I saw the transparent red and it felt very nostalgic. It's like almost 90s tech, that transparent look. And I love the color red, so I saw this and I had to have it. It's a new controller for the Sega Genesis. It's sick. I would show you the Genesis here instead of B-roll, but it's actually being used to run Sonic behind me here. That's the system and accessories. Let's talk about the games. I got 23. Like I said, these are in alphabetical order, so let's start with Aladdin. I love this game. I know there's a Super Nintendo version. This is the one I played the most growing up. It's a very good, challenging platformer. I think I've only ever beat it once. Now, it's been a while since I played it, but the lava and fire level, I remember being really tough. There's a specific jump near the end that I remember was constantly like a game over screen. And you can throw apple at the authorities. It doesn't get more Genesis than that. Next game is an absolute classic, Altered Beast. I got goosebumps just thinking about this game. I absolutely love it. The voice acting is iconic in this game.
Welcome to your doom.
There's two-player shenanigans. I even love how it flickers when there's too much going on screen. This is a classic game and one of my absolute favorites on the system. I still play it occasionally just because it's so fun. It's such a simple, silly game, but for some reason it still holds up. It's almost mindless. You can just play and have a good time, especially with two players. There's cheat codes that let you choose which beast you want to be in which level, so you can be totally OP the whole game. So good, and not too expensive either. A really great game. Next, we've got Echo the Dolphin. I never really got into this game. This was more my fiance Tash. She really likes these games. I do really like the graphics, and I find playing it, every time I play that first area, I'm very relaxed. It kind of reminds me of like a modern cozy game. I do want to play through it completely one day, but I haven't tried the whole thing yet. Okay, next is another classic for the system, Flashback, The Quest for Identity. You can play this on almost any console now. It's available like literally everywhere. I think my toaster has a version of this. I've talked about it before on my channel in my Switch collection video. Double dipping. This game is so cool. My dad played through this with me when I was a youngster, and I still love it. It's a cool story, kind of a Blade Runner vibe mixed with aliens. It's very sci-fi. It's very 90s. It's really got that feel. The thing to know about this game is it controls very strange, especially for modern gamers. It looks and feels almost like a really old Prince of Persia style game. If you can get past that, and I recommend you try, it is an awesome puzzle action game. One of my favorites on the system and highly recommended. All right, next we have another game I played a hell of a lot of growing up, Ghouls and Ghosts. This game is so hard, but I love it. It kind of feels like the original Dark Souls. It's just punishing. This is another iconic game, and that first level music is just ingrained in my brain. I love this game. It's so fun. My dad used to play this a lot with us growing up. And also, could we just take a moment to appreciate this cover art? How epic is this? Ghouls and Ghosts, another favorite for the system. Highly recommended if you haven't tried it yet. It is hard though, so be aware of that. Alright, next is the first cartridge-only game, Jewel Master. I decided to get this one cartridge-only because I'd been looking for it for a while and was having trouble finding it. Finally, I saw it show up, so I decided to just scoop it up. I actually never played this growing up. Tash, though, always remembered it and always said we should get it, so I looked into it a bit. It looked pretty fun. It looks kind of like a platformer, and I love a good platformer. so I decided to scoop it up. It's actually a really fun game, and I don't see a lot of people talk about it. It's a platformer where you collect rings and you can mix their powers to get unique effects. It's pretty fun, and I really like what I've played of this game so far. I haven't finished it yet, but I am looking forward to diving more into it. Like I said, I don't see too many people talk about this one, but it's really fun, and it's not too expensive either. Okay, next two games I'm gonna show together. Jurassic Park, slightly faded, and Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. Mostly I got these because Tash is a huge Jurassic Park fan, so when she sees something with the logo on it, she's like, that could kind of be cool. So I decided to get both of these because I got them at a really reasonable price. I played this first one as a kid a little bit, but I think we rented it or something. I didn't play it too much. And this one I had never played, Rampage Edition. This first game's not bad. It's cool if you like Jurassic Park. It's kind of like an exploration platformer game with slight action elements. But this game is a little different. So if the first game is like light, smooth rock, this is like thrash metal. I played through a bit of this game. One, I love the graphics. I think they look really cool. But also, it's way more action-oriented. It's like a run-and-gun shooter game. What I will tell you is that this Jurassic Park game, Rampage Edition, did get some pretty negative reviews when it came out. So just look into it for yourself if you're thinking of getting this one, because it might be up your alley, but there's a chance it might not be. Okay, next is another cartridge-only game, Light Crusader, Worn Label Edition. I have actually never played this game, but I got it on a sweet price because of the label, so I decided I would get it and give it a go because I have heard really good things about it. I've mentioned this before on my channel, but I really don't mind a worn label or box. To me, it shows it was well loved and played, and it kind of has character. It looks cool on a shelf. One day I'll play through this, I just haven't yet. Okay, another classic incoming, NHL 94. The blue ice, the arcade style gameplay, this game is so good. It's so smooth and fast, and these old EA cartridges look sick. Playing this game with friends is still a blast. It is more arcade feeling, which is a big change from all the modern sports sims, but if you're feeling nostalgic, this is a great game to go back and play. Plus, it's got a bunch of teams from the NHL that are no longer part of it, so it's kind of a cool trip down memory lane. All right, next we have some of my favorite games on the system, but also one of my favorite series of all time, Phantasy Star. So it's Phantasy Star 2, 3, and 4. I love a good JRPG around here, and I've played through all of these. 2 and 3 I haven't played through in a very long time. 4 I played through recently on Switch. So I had a pretty easy time finding Phantasy Star 2 and 3. 4 was really hard to find, so I ended up getting it cartridge only because I just couldn't find it with the box in decent shape, at least in my area. So what I did was I got the cartridge only, and I found this reproduction case online, and so I ordered it. And you can tell it's a reproduction up close, like, let me just be clear, but I don't mind so much because I kind of want it to be obvious that it's a reproduction. I'm not trying to fool anybody. I just want it to look good on a shelf more than anything, because with the other Phantasy Star games, I want it to look kind of nice altogether, right? The original on Master System will always be my favorite, but on Genesis, Phantasy Star 4 is probably my favorite of that. I did like Phantasy Star 2. It had a really good twist slash sad moment. You'll know what I'm talking about if you played. And I actually didn't hate 3 either. I thought the Generations thing was kind of cool, but it is my least favorite of the 4 for sure. I love this series so much, and I wish we'd get another game in the series that's a classic RPG. Imagine like a HD 2D remake even of some of these. That would be sick. If you're gonna play any of these today, I actually recommend playing on one of the many compilations that have come out, because a lot of them have a fast forward feature, and that really helps when you're grinding levels, because all of these games pretty much require you to grind levels at one point or another. Okay, next game, Shadowrun. Okay, cool story about this one. I heard that it was very hard to find a way to play this today, and I found it somehow very, very inexpensive, so I decided to just scoop it up on a whim. I haven't played it yet, but it does seem like it's right up my alley. I tried the first little bit and it's a lot of reading, so I'm just gonna have to dedicate some time and play through this one day. I'm really looking forward to trying it. It does seem like something I'd like. I just haven't got around to it yet. You know, the biggest enemy is time when you've got so much stuff in your backlog. Okay, we're gonna take a second here to talk about another classic, Shinobi 3: Return of the Ninja Master. This game is sick. This is another one I played a ton of growing up. I love this game so much. It's so fun. It's a great action platformer and it still holds up today, except every single time I play, without fail, the first button I press, I use my superpower ninja magic. Story of my life. I still don't know what some of those magic abilities do to enemies just because I keep using it by accident. Next is a staple for pretty well any Genesis collection, the Sonic series, all 4 of them. Sonic 1, 2, 3, and Knuckles. All my Sonic games are complete except Sonic and Knuckles. This one's actually cartridge only. This is another one of those reproduction cases. In fact, you can tell it's a reproduction case because I had to rip the box here to get the cartridge to fit in it. It's just a generic sleeve here. This is another one where I would really like to get the case and manual eventually, just to kind of round it out. I have all the other Sonic games, so it would be good to have this one complete as well. The Sonic game I played the most and know the best is Sonic 2, but Knuckles is my absolute favorite character. And the lock-on technology was mind-blowing as a youngster. So cool. You can put Knuckles in your other games. Okay, this next game is great. It's actually one of my favorites for the system, but not a lot of people talk about it. Spider-Man. I think the full name is Spider-Man versus the Kingpin, because when I put the cartridge in, that's what it says, although the box and cartridge only say Spider-Man on them. My cousin had this growing up, and I'd watch him play and think it looked so cool. The graphics aren't the best, but it's so fun. It's tough, like a lot of these old school platformers tend to be, but you're Spider-Man. You can crawl on ceilings, you can web swing, you can shoot web at enemies. It's so cool, and you have a web cartridge you need to manage. You should give this a try if you can, and if you like platformers, it's a really great game that I don't see talked about a whole lot. This is like if somebody asked for Spider-Man 2 on PS5, and then the parents like, we have Spider-Man at home. This is the literal example of that. Why do you need Spider-Man? We got Spider-Man at home on the Genesis. All right, next game I don't know a ton about. It's Subterranea. I saw this at a store for a really good price, and I realized I had no shooters really for the system, so I wanted to pick it up and see what it was about because I had heard good things. I'm glad I picked it up because it does control a little strange, but it's a really cool game and really unique. Okay, next is one of my favorite fighting games of all time, Super Street Fighter 2. I actually have this for the Super Nintendo as well. Double dipping! I grew up playing this game on Super Nintendo and I loved it. I got the Genesis version because I know the game so well that I wanted to see what some of the differences were. Of course, if you're gonna play this or any other fighting game on the Sega Genesis, I do recommend the 6-button controller. I tried playing this with the 3-button controller and it was tough. I couldn't do anything. Zangief kept pile driving me, and then at the end of the fight, he made me hold his pocket. This version of Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2, while it's maybe not known as the best version of this game, it made me love the series. I loved seeing all the new characters from around the world, especially after only having Street Fighter 2 characters. Seeing all these extra characters was really cool. Okay, last Genesis game, X-Men. Another beat-em-up platformer. They were really popular at that time. This is a really fun game, and I still absolutely love the X-Men cartoon from that time period. That intro song still slaps. I used to play as Gambit all the time when I was growing up because I thought he was so cool with his cards and his accent. I love that when you die, you lose a hero, so you have to learn to get good with multiple characters. Really fun game, and I really recommend it, and this is a game that's not available on modern platforms as far as I know. Okay, that's all my Sega Genesis games. I'm gonna show you my 2 Master System games because I only have the 2. It's an itty-bitty collection. First one is Phantasy Star. I made a whole video about this game. Check that out if you want to hear me talk about it. This and Earthbound are still my favorite games of all time, although Tears of the Kingdom is catching up there. My other Master System game, Shinobi. I love the Shinobi games. I played this one a lot growing up. Really fun. Although those bonus levels are really tough because they're like in first person, I still don't know how to beat the bonus levels, like without a turbo or something. And that's it. That's my whole collection. Now, luckily, a lot of what I showed you today is available to play on modern hardware. Between the mini Genesis consoles and the tons of Genesis compilations, but there's still a few games I want that are lost. For example, I remember we used to play Rambo 3 on Genesis, and I loved that game. There was a part where you shoot down a helicopter with a bow. It's the most 80s thing you can think of. And like I said, I still have to get a legit case for my Phantasy Star 4 and Sonic and Knuckles, so that's pretty high up on my priority list. Otherwise, I have to say I'm pretty happy with my collection. I'm not actively going out looking for Genesis games. If I see something cool that pops up and it's a good price, I'll scoop it up, sure, but I'm not going out of my way to try and find these. I have most of the stuff that I really wanted. That's gonna wrap up this video, folks. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around. I really do appreciate it. What are some of your favorite Genesis games? Are there some glaring omissions in my collection you think I should know about? Let me know down below. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. My name is Sammy, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.